And we can say that the workshop is now formally open. Over to you, Claudia.
No, it's my time.
Giorgio, sorry.
Okay. I try to share my uh, my uh, screenshot. Okay. Can
Yeah, we
you
can see it.
see the
Yes, we can see it.
document?
Absolutely.
Okay. Um, this is the document we send you, so you have it. Uh, Mine is just some part underlined, just to uh, guide my presentation. So this is the final document that reach all the contribution of the preliminary survey of IO2. Uh, as you see, the index says the track used to collect feedback from all the partners. So it's the same structure. You see the point. Um, our methodology choice was to insert all the contribution, summarizing the point that also the point that emerges several times from different partners. Because the contribution was very rich, we try to maintain, to don't lose all the richest of the contribution. So we didn't choose a point instead of another, but we try to put all the contribution in the document. Obviously, some points are not particularly innovative because there are some of these points are part of the daily know-how dedicated to from the experience of those who have worked in prison for years. Many of us worked in prison for from since a lot of years, so the method and the instrument sometimes are the same, and are the same, I think, all over Europe. However, they have been included also these points that are not so innovative are included because in this way the result is a synthesis of idea and suggestion that comes from a mix of experience and innovation. Um, this document is not the final one because we needed to review the best practice. We had, you see the practice that we received, but they are not described in the same way and are not, they need to be rewrite. So we try to send again a document to the partner that send us some best practice, try to have the same format for all of them. The second point is that the glossary that is in the end of the document has to be increased, of course, and there are still some part that need to be corrected, but there are some mistakes that, but it is not so important. We can see the old document, 80% of what will be at the end. Um, at the beginning, we put the framework that is substantially taken from the CAP project, is the same part, probably incorporates information that are also in other documents, but uh, I think that is important that each person that take this document can read this document as a unit. So have in this document all the information that is necessary to understand what this document is. Um, Here we put some information about the people who are people that was involved in the focus group. We try to synthesize the type of people that participate in the focus group. So we have a person from prisons, that means trainer, education, social worker, prison guard, convicts, etc. Justice administration, vocational training center or schools that participate, private or public employment offices, NGO operating in this field, and private companies. So you can see that the people that participate to the different focus group represent a big kind, many kinds of people that are involved in training activities. In the focus group, we have all these kind of people, 8 trainers. This you see here a mistake. This has to be put here, not here. So this is what I told you before. 8 trainees, 12 professional prisoners. These are the kind of personnel that was involved. Project coordination, psychologists and sociologists, 4 social workers, 5 operators, 1 university student, an ex-prisoner, this is particularly, 1 mental health counselor, theater educator, 1 contact person for NGO specialized in social support, and 1 teacher. This is another mistake. This is the Italian organization for adult education. So we need to change this acronym. And 1 entrepreneur for a social cooperative. So you see a lot of different kind of person that participate. Um, the strange thing is that there are some actors that appear only in some context, and which can be identified by as a suggestion or best practice to be implemented, even in contexts where at the moment they are not present. I don't remember, but for example, there are people from municipality that comes from Netherlands. Okay, so let's go to section 1. Okay, this you see the same point of the survive. For example, the people that has to be involved in the planning of training programs, there are people that normally are involved: prison administration, adult agency in prison, employment service. These are quite common. Cooperative in companies, but you see here municipalities. This is a suggestion that comes from Netherlands and was interesting for change the activity that we did. What are the main drivers for developing educational training course in prison? You see that in this section, we focus and identify the factors that need to be taken into account and that can facilitate or hinder effective development of training activities. I forgot this point. One particular point that is here in person involved in the activity is from Greece. I think it was particularly interesting the Greece institution Central Specific Council of Prison, and you see the explanation here, and was particularly from Greece. And you see all the other actors that are involved in the uh, activity of project or training course. What are the expected long-term benefits? Many have emphasized the need to pursue the not only technical skills, but also personal and professional identity. I underline it here. Or renew the self-esteem uh, on their own abilities, satisfaction, and motivation. This was a point that I'd like to highlight because I think it's very interesting, and it comes in a different part of the project. Uh, then, sorry, okay. Uh, these are for the prison administration. Of course, we have here long-term benefits for convicts, for administration and system, and these I think could be a very interesting point to grow the general well-being on the involved detainees and offering positive prospects. Um, and reduction of tension and conflicts. Okay. Uh, this is another point. We didn't talk about active citizenship in our document for reach the information from the partner. But this item um, turn in remain in many contributes. So the term of active citizenships can be interesting to grow. This is key elements to be taken in consideration. There are restriction and limitation risks. Of course, I underlined here some point that was common to quite all the people. I go on because you see, you can read the point, but this could be interesting that about low diffusion of digital technologies. The digital technologies are not spread in the didactical activities. The aspect is cause for international security problem. The use of internet is often difficult, and for economic problems that make in education investment difficult. So the problem of digital technologies return in many contributions. Let's go to another point. Characteristic of detainees involved. Uh, you see a lot of problems that are in many contributional highlights. Lack of motivation and consistency, in particular in vocational training. And these depend from several factors. The problem of disabilities. Many convicts has various kind of disabilities. Sometimes comes from the use of drugs or from other problems, but many of them have disabilities. The levels of education is very low. There is a low self-esteem, and there are patients with mental health problems. This was a point that has to be tested very with attention here. Then let's go on because the time is running. Okay, you see here the support or the point are covered were already presented. These points were already presented in the questionnaire, but the contribution very quite interesting. Let's go to section 2. It was a section that here, guiding values. It was a section for which we had to clarify the terms before putting in the questionnaire the question. However, there were interesting results. By where, for example, there are some values identified from some partner from Greece, in particular. The, the common guiding values like love, peace, humility, simplicity, happiness, work. These are values that normally don't are not foreseen in a training activities. Maybe it could be interesting to put also an attention on them. Let's go to section 3. These are the documents that the main information that arrived from the contribution of the partner. The partnership, but all the partnership reflect that on what the most importance of skills to be proposed in the professional trainers course in prison, and identify the following skills as those as important in the toxin. This is the soft skills that more partner highlight, and you can see here all the documents. Okay. About methodological approach, there are some methodologies that are suggested for all kind of activity, like this one, and there are some that are suggested just, for example, for specific kind of training. For example, here you can find the methodological approach for soft skills training. And here you can find for basic skills, and here you can find for technical skill training. Let's go to the end, because you can see, of course, all the documents, but if you have some question or observation, please send us. This is the part that we needed to reorganize, because there are a lot of nice best practice, but as you can see, they are not described in the same way. Just some word for each best practice. This is teaching literacies and numeracy in prison. Netherlands send me a lot of documents, but are not organized, so we need to reconstruct them. The second one is the project LEI. There is a project in Italy project where there are some experience in theater in prison project. There is also the main point of a best practice coming from Greece, the theater workshop in Greek prison. Then we have literacy training in Greece. that is a best practice comes from a prison and prison in Pisa. Um, Here you can self-assessment that came in made that came in by Netherlands. But, also here we have a lot of documents, but of course we can't put all the document in the document in the in these documents. So we have to reorganize everything. And uh, rugby, there is an empowerment project through the practice of rugby. Uh, the other thing is the five basic conditions for successful reintegration. That is a ministerial integration plan for prison. And you maybe, yes, I try to put here the document that Netherlands sent us. And last one is mobile that is a mobile basic education for adults. These are all the documents, but I think that we will uh, um, ask to the partner to rewrite the. Sorry, I tried to. Okay, to see. Wait, just a moment. Huh? Okay. Maybe we will send a new document to all the partners that send us some best practice, trying to ask to describe the best practice in the same way. So with no more than 200 and 2,500 characters, to put the lesson learned and to put what material are available. Because in this way we can add in a good way all the document for the best practice. I know that I tried to put in your head a lot of information, but you have the documents. And of course, if there are some uh, observation or other contribution, of course, write us and we add or change. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Giorgio. I'm impressed, and I think everybody is, by the careful and patient work of capturing, documenting, and synthesizing all these experiences, knowledge, and information. So congratulations for doing that, and thank you for doing that. Over to you, Claudia, for the looking forward bit. So putting all this wonderful and rich information in use and distilling it into the intellectual output for this project. Yeah. No mean feat. So over to you.
Okay, thank you, Costanza. The first step for intellectual output 2 is the preliminary survey, but then there will be the following steps in order to build the blueprint. The final blueprint of IO2. The document that I want to present you is the general framework. And now I can share my document, my presentation with you. Please tell me if you see the document.
Not yet. It's arriving. Here it is. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Elisabetta.
You're welcome.
Only a few words for Elisabetta. She is our colleague of Casa di Carita, and she has a long time experience as teacher in the prison of Turin. After, we will manage the work, the work group activities. Okay, thank you, Elisabetta. And now I present a short presentation about the general framework. That is the first document that composed the blueprint of IO2. The general framework. Okay. Allora, the general framework is a document elaborated thanks to different inputs. We collect inputs by the preliminary survey, by one-to-one discussion with each partners, and input by the good practices collected by the partnership. And so this document is the result of common and shared information collected by all the partnership of CAP projects. The key objectives of this document is to offer general recommendation, first, methodological approach to, and operative guidelines useful to develop training modules with the aim of the reinforcement of employability of prisoners, the final aim of CAP project. The target group for this document is professional staff, practitioners that are involved in the design activities and in management activities of training modules and involved in the reintegration of prisoners. And so this document is not for the final beneficiaries, but for the staff involved with the final beneficiaries. Sorry. Okay, what is the structure and what is the contents of this document? We have two parts. One part is the part elaborated before the testing phase. And in this first part, there will be a general description of analysis of context. Many elements are common elements to the preliminary survey, but also the analysis of context. The first part of this document will present the methodological framework defined for IO2. The methodological framework in a general way and in specific addressed to soft, technical and basic skills. The last point of the first part of structure is the guidebook and the design tool for modules. And so guideline, recommendations, skills and tasks required to the staff in order to accompany the staff to design training module to sustain the reinforce of employability of prisoners. The second part of the structure of general framework will be elaborated after the testing phase. And in fact, in this second part, there will be the final catalog composed by each module elaborated and tested in each country, and the description of testing phase, and the final version of general framework and other tools elaborated in the first part after the testing phase. So I present you the 2 points of structure of context part 1, and so analysis of context and methodological framework in specific for general approach. The other point of part 1 will be elaborated in a next phase. So, the analysis of context. This morning, Perla and before Giorgio presented us many elements that describe the context where we are. The system, the prison system is a system with specific elements that we must consider in the project, in our project activities. And so we need to consider some elements when we must work for training modules in the prison. First of these elements is the necessary collaboration of the penitentiary administration. And so this general element is defined by different specific warning attention. For example, the first, security first, it is a sort of a Trumpian version of American first. Security first is an important consideration because when we organize, when we manage a vocational training course in the prison, we must always consider that the first rule of the prison is to guarantee the security, and we must balance security with the course requirements. The teamwork. It is a general consideration. What value is assigned by prison authority to training and educational pathway? It is important to build with penitentiary administration a sort of pact agreement where the vocational training has a common value for the agencies, but also for the prison. Then there are some other elements important to consider when we must manage vocational training courses inside the prison. Structural, organizational, and time constraints. And so, for example, not all spaces are suitable for the course, and not all the space are reachable by all prisoners. This is in many cases, it is a big problem to consider before the management of a course inside the prison. Another example is the time of the course and the time of the prison. Often we must schedule the course, the time of the course in order to answer the time of the prison. Then another problem is the low investment in digital equipment and in technology in many prisons. And so, for example, this problem as an important problem in order to organize specific courses that that needs of specific spaces and specific equipments. Okay. There are many elements of the contest, but we must consider many elements in our target, the inmates. Perla this morning presented some features, some elements present in the prisoners that are in the prison of Europe, in the European prison. But our experience underline that the population in prison has often a lack of motivation and has many difficulties to attend vocational training courses. This may depend on several factors. Education level of the participants is generally very low. The life experiences of prisoners have been characterized by many failures. Many inmates may suffer of learning disabilities, and this could be motivation of their difficulties in the attend of courses. And another factor could be the high percentage of drug users and patients with mental health problems. And these factors could take difficulties in the participation of training courses. A specific focus about the penitentiary system is caused by the high mobility of prisoners. We register high mobility of prisoner from one prison to another prison in order to solve problem of our crowding, in order to solve security problem inside the prison. But this is a big problem for the agencies that manage vocational training courses, and this is a problem to consider when we must design and manage vocational training courses inside the prison. These specific factors and critical points of penitentiary system of the final targets are important input for our IO2, and we must try to answer in a positive way to solve together the problem and the critical factors analyzed before. And so we will elaborate with the contribution of all the partnership a general approach and a methodological framework in order to support, in order to answer the critical elements described before. First of all is to have a methodological approach able to promote adherence and support. And so it is important to consider that the prison administration must have always a central role in the process of planning and scheduling training activities to be carried out within the prison. First consideration. The second consideration is to promote adherence and support in order to communicate and valorize the value generated by training and by education. It is important, and the tool developed in IO1 for advocacy, it is very important that the value generated by the training is a value shared with the staff of penitentiary system and all other agencies and staff involved in the prison. Another important point is to support prisoners involved in training pathway. We analyzed the critical points present in the target of prisoners. We must define strategy in order to answer to these critical points. And so an important activity is the selection of group class. We must accompany prisoners in order to understand what is the best training courses for own needs, own project life. Another important activity is to support motivation and self-esteem during the vocational training courses. Another important element is to recognize and value not formal and informal learning. Often we involve adults without formal education, without formal experiences. And so it is very important to recognize their informal experience in education, in work, in a labor market, and in another section of their life. The other point important that compose the general approaches of IO2 is to reinforce the connection between training courses and labor market. Perla this morning underlines the importance to have a bridge between training courses and labor market. It is an important point for us. And then to enhance empowerment for employability. It is important to give time and space to acquire technical skills, but for us it is important to help the person to have a professional growth and a personal identity development. The holistic approach that Perla this morning talked us is this aspect. The person who attend our courses is a person with technical aspect, but also with personal aspect. And we must involve all the elements present in the person who involved in our courses. Okay, the last slide is a slide where we must define the challenges and the innovation that we will develop with the IO2. For us, for the blueprint for a CAP project, the training is a vital element of an open system. And so to involve all the components of the prison in promoting a common agreement on the value of training is essential tool and service for the prison itself. Then the training broadens the horizon. We must consider that each training pathway must be future oriented, and so to involve not only the delivery of a course, but the overall project for the future reintegration of the person, according to the principle of the 5 basic conditions: ID, housing, work and income, debt and care. Training, the other point, sustains the gaze. It is necessary to take into consideration some personal issues that can have a strong impact in the process of participation to the course. For example, we must consider when we involve female prisoners that perhaps they could be child with them. They could have familiar problems and so on. This factor has a strong impact in a positive or negative participation in the course. Training helps to promote transformation. The rule of training is not only to help people to acquire technical skills. The training is a useful tool to help the people to transform their life. Training, in fact, helps the citizenship processes. And training is a mix among soft, technical, and basic skills. Only in this way, professional growth can be accompanied by a change in personal style. At last, training promotes the value of diversity. In our group class, we have an example of different age, different culture, different religions, and so on. This experience is an important life experience for each participant to experiment diversity group. And now I'll pass over to you, and I ask to Elisabetta to introduce the work group activities. Thank you for your attention, thank you for your patience for my bad English. I send you all the presentation and all your contributions, all your suggestions. Please don't hesitate to send us. The general framework is a work in progress, and so we have the possibility to modify the document and to collect all your contribution. Thank you.
Thank you,
Okay,
Claudia.
I
So,
see that
Elisabetta, yeah,
my...
brilliant. Would you share your screen?
Sorry.
I think, and then I'm just concerned that we're a bit late. So, Marius,
Yes.
you also had a question. I don't know if you wanted to come in now. Or...
Yes, just
Yeah,
a very brief question.
Go ahead.
Thank you very much, first of all, for this great framework. I think it's in alignment with everything we do. My concern is something which I raised, I think, in one of our previous meetings, in that we don't have yet agreed on any specification about the length of the programs that we will be implementing, or the depth to which we are expected to go. Yes, will we have the chance to have an agreement or some form of a more or less uniform characteristics as to what the programs, the pilot trainings that we will be implementing in autumn of this year will have, what will be the common characteristics? Not so much the content, but the general characteristics in terms of length, in terms of, so far we only know how many people we will be involved because it was in the proposal, but we don't have any information about the number of hours we will be engaging with prisoners and these kinds of information. Thank you.
We are working on it because there are many problems to take in care. I think that next month we will send you a proposal and we can discuss the proposal. Okay?
Okay. Thank you,
Okay.
Giorgio. Okay, I think we had an initial discussion before the end of last year around the key issues, the length and the capacities of each of the partners and everything. So I'm sure that Giorgio and Claudia are sort of taking that on board. So we look forward to getting your proposals for that, and we will definitely discuss them within the PMB. we can have another another focus meeting on IO2, maybe in when you're ready for that. Yes, so dedicate a little more time to this discussion. Okay, Elisabetta, over to you, and then we'll need to get into the group work. Thank you.
Sorry,
Okay,
can I make a remark?
Okay, Theo, we will be in the group work then. So if it's
Yeah,
something
but
that
it's,
can,
we didn't have the possibility to react on the presentation of Giorgio, because what we saw was that you used a source from 1999 and 2003. So for me, this sounds a little bit too long time ago. Is there not a more actual source to refer on in this document? It was, I think, about the characteristics of the drug addicts, etc. Do you remember? I don't know what page it was.
it looks like Giorgio is frozen. Oh, there you go. He's moving now.
Sorry, but and because the audio was not so nice. I don't know if it's mine or yours. I don't know.
Yes, you had frozen, Giorgio, but Theo, I think you were asking. Theo was asking about the information, particularly on drug addicts. Now, this sounds very technical and certainly very relevant, but I wonder whether this is something that we can discuss either bilaterally or offline. So you were Theo was raising the source, but it's sort of quite niche. So I think it was the context that you presented, Giorgio, in the synthesis. So it's not in the general framework, it's the synthesis of the preliminary survey that was raised. So I'm just questioning whether we need to spend time now. I think it was worth raising, Theo. We will make a note. Perhaps you can follow up with Giorgio.
Okay. It's okay.
Is it okay? But thank you for raising that. So it was the source that you used for the evidence, particularly around drug addicts, I believe. So maybe you can follow up by email. Elisabetta, please go ahead.
So nice to meet all of you. And now we are going to do some group works. You know, there are 3 groups. Can you hear me? Okay. I have some names. I don't know if you are here, all of you, but
I've divided people into the groups. Yeah, according to the list that we had. I needed to sort of switch some people in order to. We have 3 groups with 5 or 6 people in them, so that it should be quite balanced.
Yes. Yeah, okay, I can tell you which name, just the name I have, and so the first subgroup is going to work on soft skills, and it's composed by Olga, Martha, Theo, Giorgio, 2 Silvie, Silvia Pirro e Silvia Sguotti, and Mirto. I'm sorry for Cyprus or Greek names if I changed them. And the second group, it's okay, Costanza? This first
I needed to move Silvia Pirro. I moved her to basic skills. She knows, I've told her, because that was less populated.
Yes, yes, I've seen this, yes. So she come with me, okay. So the second groups that is going to discuss about basic skills is composed by Silvia Pirro, Tassos, Irini, me, Elisabetta, Davis. You are Italian, but just in Italy, but is right, Davis, okay?
Yes, it is, thank you.
You're welcome. You know, I'm a teacher, and so names for me are important, sorry. Anna or Michaela are there?
Neither of them.
Okay.
So that's it. That's it for the basic skills group.
Thank you. And then the third group composed by Marios, Eleni, Jos, Claudia, Cinzia, Costanza, and Elettra. You have the grid. I think you have read or you have it in front of you. And so you can see the first step you have to do is to nominate one of you to be a spokesman, spokeswoman, not coming from Casa di Carità, sorry. And this person will be in charge to fill in the grid and to send to my email address, all this is written on the grid, to send as soon as you end the work, please, because I have a work to do on it, to send it to me. You have all this information on the grid. This is all, I think. We must know where we can meet. So
yes,
the word
don't worry. I will
Costanza.
take care of that. So
Okay.
thank you very much, Elisabetta.
You're welcome.
So does everybody have the worksheets for each of the groups were circulated before the meeting? So I will actually be floating between the groups. I think we have enough people without me, and I will be helping people and going into the different rooms. So I will now open the rooms. You have 20 minutes in the room. Okay. After 20 minutes, the rooms will close. If you finish earlier, there's a button in the bottom right-hand side of the screen where you usually leave the meeting, the one that will tell you leave the breakout room, and then you will be sent back to plenary. Okay, so if you finish earlier and you want to go, that's how you can exit the room. Okay, I will open the rooms now. You should be transferred automatically into your room, and I will stay here and in case there's any problems. See you later. So you should have received an invitation. Just click on that and you'll be able to go into the room.